We've just received our new product, the iTap X, and we're going to show you the unboxing and installation of an iTap, as well as the accessories you can get with it. So come a little closer and join us. First, let's unbox the package together. We'll carefully take out all the individual parts one by one. There are some fittings, a few different types of gaskets, and some additional fittings included for various uses. There we go. There we go. Everything is ready. And a user manual. Always a good idea to read through it before you get started. It looks great. A really nice piece of equipment, one of the best you can get when you need to tap beer under pressure. There's a gasket inside. It's important that it's there, so always check that. Then you assemble it like this. And it shouldn't be necessary to do anything more than just hand tighten this, which means you only need to use your hand to twist it until it feels secure without needing to use any tools. Like that, just a gentle, firm twist is all it takes. Now let's take a look inside the bag to see what else is included. And of course, there are also some extra gaskets and similar parts which are provided in case you need replacements. So this part is for the beer. The beer comes in through here. And I need to remember again, there is a gasket that needs to go right there on that spot, like that, making sure it is properly in place. And again, just hand tighten it gently so you don't accidentally break anything. And then over here, this part is for the CO2. They're identical, so inserting them is actually pretty easy. It just clicks in. And over here, this is for the excess, just like that. And now take a look at this. There you go. This is exactly what it looks like. And then you might wonder, why isn't there one mounted here, but only there? Well, there's a specific reason for that. I would recommend putting both of them in, otherwise it can get a bit crooked like that. Now it looks like this. And then there's the gasket. That's a spare one. The other one is already in place, so remember to keep it. Otherwise, the other things we have here on the table are accessories, which we, of course, highly recommend. A really good idea is a sturdy stand, so it's much easier to control everything when you're bottling. And we'll demonstrate that process for you afterwards, of course. Then we have a G connector. It's basically just like a draft beer tap, so you can connect it directly and pour your beer just like it's fresh draft beer. And then, of course, we have our hose clamp, which is important for keeping everything secure. So we can attach the CO2 and all the necessary components. It's designed so you can connect it directly to your regulator, making the process straightforward. I'll explain that in just a moment when we begin assembling everything together. You will need 2 ball locks, a T-piece, a connector for your regulator, and a clamp. The tubing provided is 5 meters long, giving you plenty of flexibility. As I mentioned before, I really recommend that you invest in this setup. A stand like this, which helps to keep everything under control, really does simplify the whole process. Instead of having to mess around with a board yourself, you can use this stand to make things easier. Now, I'll show you how to mount it on the stand and also how to attach the hose and everything else so you can see exactly how it works. But honestly, it's relatively easy to use when it's on the stand. I'll start by taking this off for now. Here, you have a shank along with a back piece. Take the shank and position it together with the back piece, just like this. Put the shank through here, making sure it goes all the way through. Look here to see how it fits. And then repeat the process again. Of course, you can use tools to help with this step, but I personally try to avoid using tools whenever possible, as I find it gives me more control. And again, repeat the process to ensure everything is secure. Remember to keep track of your gaskets as you work, making sure they are organized and not misplaced. Like that. Now I will show the installation of the hose and the initial part of the CO2 hose. Many of our customers have a keg regulator. as a rule, it's always 8 millimeters. But all the hose work for the iTap is 3/8 inch. That's why it's important to unscrew the fitting that's right up by the regulator, because it won't be needed. Since we're going straight to the 3/8 inch, which means we're using a fitting that measures 3/8 of an inch in diameter, it's easier to just mount this directly on without needing any adapters or extra parts. To do this, you simply take the fitting and press it onto the connection point, making sure it is firmly in place and properly aligned so that there are no leaks, like that. And again, just like with the beer tap, you need to make sure to distribute the carbon dioxide both to the iTap and to any other components that require it, ensuring that the gas flows evenly throughout the system for proper operation and consistent results. But you also need to push the beer out of your fermenter, so you just take 10 centimeters of hose. Then you have your T-piece, like that. And now we've cut everything up, so now I just need to figure out how it looks. This here is about 1 meter that we've cut out. And that's to push the beer out of the fermenter tank. And in this case, it's a, what's it called, a FermZilla all-rounder. Carbon dioxide is always the gray ball lock, like that. And now we're going to attach, what's it called, the hose onto the tap. You just press this clamp in with your fingers. It's a pretty cool system because it makes attaching and removing the hose much easier than older designs. Just squeeze the clamp in and then you can pull it out without much effort. It's really easy to use even if you haven't done it before, but now they've chosen to make the tap with a hose holder that's a bit too big for the standard hose size, which can make it tricky to get a snug fit. That's why I recommend heating up the end of the hose with some hot water. The heat softens the hose, making it more flexible and much easier to slide onto the larger holder. So we've got that ready here on the side, prepared to help with the installation. Great. And then it's ready to be mounted, like that. And it's a good idea because this is the CO2 side to put on a clamp. And you can assemble everything here instead of doing it on the tap, because you can just click these off. And of course, a clamp like this is included in the set. There we go. Now it's tight directly. Into the T-piece. And over here, like that. The other one is almost the overflow, the one that's supposed to handle the excess pressure, and it doesn't need to be that long. And again, we just dip it into the hot water here, and it's easy to mount, but you don't need a clamp. And again, click, and it's on. And last but not least, we have the hose for the beer. And for that, you use a ball lock, black ball lock. And the thing is, when you're pouring beer with an iTap or a beer gun, there's not much pressure. So you can actually just push the hose onto the hose barb, making sure it fits securely. Take a look here so you can see how it connects. If you need a better view, just come a bit closer. That should be close enough. There you go. This is the CO2 hose, which is used for supplying carbon dioxide. Here is the overflow hose, which helps prevent any spills. This one is the beer hose, which will carry the beer. And over here you can see the CO2 hose that is connected to the fermenter, making sure the fermenter gets the gas it needs. Great, everything is set up. Now we can go ahead and mount this part. There it is attached. Now I can demonstrate how it all works. First, you take a bottle, making sure it is ready for use, and then you push it all the way down into the slot until it is fully seated. Next, you place the bottle in this specific area, ensuring it fits securely. After that, you simply turn this part, rotating it as shown, just like that. Finally, you tap here, gently pressing on this spot to complete the process. That's how the mechanism works.